Other traders, very good afternoon. This is the post-market analysis episode 41 by Tradeducation, and today is the 25th of November 2019. Current time is 3:35 p.m. IST. So with that, let me just share a quick disclaimer before I share today's analysis that trading involves substantial risk and is not suitable for everyone. Also, the information which I'm sharing cannot be used for any trade related activity and is for educational purposes only. So with that, let me just let's look at how the auction developed today and what was the overall my thought process. Okay, so let me just quickly share my screen. And uh, so today, from the daily chart perspective, what I'm seeing is more of a inventory adjustment break. You can ask me, why I'm talking of inventory adjustment break. Why do you think that this is more like an inventory adjustment break? If you see overall since the last 3 days, so it was inventory was just trying to short. Inventory was just trying to take a short position. So whenever you are seeing visual references, or if you draw trend lines, something like this, whenever this happens, so this is where you have to think in a counter way, wherein is the inventory too short or is the inventory too long. Second thing is whether today I'm seeing any continuation on the downside. Okay, whether I'm seeing any continuation on the downside or whether I'm seeing any balancing. If I'm not seeing any continuation on the downside, it means that something is changing the market, something has changed the market, and that's why today we are seeing nothing but stocks which were built in the last 3-day high. They were cleared. Also, we had a week high of the 20th of November, and this is also a week high. So this were all the references which were pointing out that today will be clearing the will be having a inventory adjustment break, because overall the auction was just balancing sideways, and then today it tried to reach the all-time high. So let me just quickly jump to the market profile chart and share what are my reference areas. So some of the reference areas which I was looking or monitoring were yesterday's low, yesterday's close, yesterday's high, okay, 8th November high, and the all-time high. Okay, so these are some of the references. Also, there were this G2 high references, double mechanical references. This was a weak high references. Okay, so there are multiple references on the high side compared to the low side. That does not mean that the auction will be going up. It did not give me a hint. So if I tell you what was my trade plans, I was actually biased from the short side. The reason why I was biased from the short side is because today's close is, or today's low is exactly at yesterday's close. Okay, so this is a weaker reference. Okay, so this was one data point. Then what happened is, so I was biased and I was just observing to have some sideways balancing here, and then maybe sellers, once they start stepping in, once the auction comes back within yesterday's range, then that could be a good position, or a good observation that we are seeing continuation on the downside. Then you can go for a short trade targeting today's low, and clearing this poor lows which were formed yesterday. So this is what I was anticipating. This is what I was looking for my trade action plan, for my trade plan. So what happened is, so this is today's open, and this is an HVN. So it did not reach the HVN, but what happened is buyers started stepping in, and it took out, the auction went out about yesterday's high. Now once it went about yesterday's high, it was just developing sideways. So just developing sideways, giving no clarity. So whenever the auction tried to reach within yesterday's range, I was anticipating to just take a short trade, but I did that. So today, if you able to see in my Google sheet, I made a loss of 300 rupees. So when a lot of time was being spent at this level, I forgot that something has changed the market. The auction is not finding any acceptance below the IB low, but what is happening is buyers are just started to step in. And then what happened is, once the A period high was clear, B period high was clear, I was keeping a reference level at the peacock level. So I went a long trade, exiting the peacock level. This was a good trade, but then what happened is I immediately reversed my position and I went short, because there was one more data point which was added, which was this half back level. So this was the first data point and this was the second data point. Okay, now I forgot to see that the C period low was nothing but a sort of a pullback, wherein it was trying to find new sellers. They're trying to pull very hard, but buyers were stopping it, and they were just trying to push the prices of the auction higher. So what had happened is, if I had so I exited the short position again with loss. So whatever gains I had from this trade, I exited, and then what happened is, we are seeing continuation. We are seeing continuation higher, clearing this high, clearing this to weak high, and then the auction is now balancing above the 8th of November of high. Okay, so pretty bullish close we had today, and I'm anticipating that it will reach the all-time high, and let's see where the auction, whether we are seeing continuation on the higher side tomorrow or we are seeing any balance. So let me just delete all these references. So some of the monitoring references which I'll be carrying forward tomorrow is the high. Let me also delete this. Today's close is also bullish. And today's low. Okay, so I'll be seeing whether we are seeing any continuation on the higher side, and whether we are, so new business started stepping in, and I'm just anticipating tomorrow whether the all-time high is getting cleared or not. Okay, so this is the overall thought process which I have from the Nifty chart. Now let me quickly jump to the Bank Nifty market profile chart, and a similar auction development is seen like we saw in the Nifty chart. So there were a couple of stops which were built here, So here we are seeing that visually sellers were just trying to push the price down. So the auction went higher, and then sellers started stepping in. They did a good job last Friday, and what I was anticipating is continuation to the downside, clearing this weaker references, because there were stops getting built here also. Okay, so this did not happen. So what happened is, let me clear this. So what happened is, this is today's open. It sort of went through the point of control, it again came down, and then it did not tag the yesterday's low, but in fact it went above, and it was just one time framing higher. So a trade location for me would be what is happening at the yesterday's high. So there was acceptance above it, then you can have just taken a long trade targeting this weaker references. So this was a good 100 points move, which you could have captured easily if you understood the overall context correctly. Okay, now let me quickly go to the Reliance chart and see what's happening. So in Reliance, we still have this gap present. We still have this big gap present, and what we are seeing, yesterday we had a V shape, and right now we are having an inside day today, wherein buyers and sellers, they are at equal acceptance of the price. So sellers are also strong, buyers are also strong. So tomorrow what I'm expecting is whether we'll be having a balanced day, or we'll be clearing the stops which are built here, and which are built at this pool. So there are weaker references on the lower side. So tomorrow I'm anticipating the weaker references to get clear, and then fill this gap. That is what overall I'm looking at in the Reliance from the intraday or from the positional perspective. So overall balancing is happening, no new business is coming in. We have a value which was developed here. So overall this is a 4-day balance. So tomorrow let's see, let's see where the whether we are seeing balancing, whether we are seeing look above the balance and fail, or whether we are seeing look below the balance and fail. Okay, so nothing much clarity in in Reliance. And now let me quickly jump to the crude oil chart. And in crude oil, what is happening is crude oil also had an inventory adjustment break. And so this was Friday's overnight session, and this was the Friday's US session. So currently what I'm seeing is where the auction is developing. So the auction is developing at the lower half of this balance. So there are two balances, okay, and the auction is currently developing, and we are seeing a sort of rejection at this level. So what I'm seeing is continuing repair of this emotional buying which happened on the 21st of November. Okay, so I'm seeing that the auction will tag the low. If the buyers are not stepping in, then we can say that we can reverse the position, go target for longs with your first target as the as today's high. But overall, from the context perspective, the value is developing lower. It's more of a balance shape. So I'll be seeing whether we are seeing balancing or whether we are seeing continuation on the downside. So with that, I would like to end today's session, and would request you to please do like, subscribe, and share my video. Uh, and uh, and let's see how the auction develops tomorrow. And let's catch up tomorrow again. With that, ending this session, and I hope the voice and everything is clear for today's video. Okay, with that I'm ending, and bye for now.